Interesting. I want you to hear a couple of things. People are all up in arms about this FEMA thing. I love this. This is the part that is in the politics of this world is just frustrating because it points in the direction way too often to one side. Jay O'Brien, ABC, FEMA money used for migrants. Here, listen to this.
This chunk of money that FEMA did spend on services for migrants like housing, et cetera, that is true that they spent it, is a separate congressionally appropriated chunk of money from the money pool that would be used for hurricane relief. And
so let's stop there. Let's stop right there. That's exactly true. Now, this all started. This wasn't something of some right-wing conspiracy that people made up. Alejandro Mayorkas, the Secretary of Homeland Security, stood in front of the American people days after Hurricane Helene decimated the Florida coast and all the way up to North Carolina. Decimated people, hundreds of people missing and dead, people without anything, and said, we don't have any money to get through the season. No one forced him to say it. That's what he said. We also know back in 2022, in defending the money that was being spent for migrants, the press secretary of the White House said to the American people back in October of 2022, I believe it was October, might have been September, that we can take FEMA money that's used for shelter, that's used for emergencies, and we can use it for migrants. So this narrative that FEMA money being used for migrants is why this is happening. It wasn't made up out of whole cloth. So this idea that here we go again, these conspiracy theory people, these election deniers, these liars, no, they're based on what the federal government's telling them. So we started doing some homework. So according to an inspector general's report, and I'm reading from this right now, FEMA is sitting on about $8.3 billion in untapped, unspent funds. So just like you heard that report, that there is money that was separately allocated by Congress. There is separately allocated money so I'm going to read this to you. Mayorkas said we are expecting another hurricane hitting. We do not have the funds. FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season and what is imminent. So now they're worried about Milton. I've got family and friends that are doing everything they can. They've been digging out for 2 years from Hurricane Ian in southwest Florida. So this is very personal to me. I was just 3 months after the hurricane, after Ian hit southwest Florida, I was on Sanibel and Captiva Islands. I saw the devastation. I have video of driving on what's called Lover's Key, which is a very small barrier island between Bonita Beach and Fort Myers Beach that was being used as a dumping ground so that they could get the debris off the beaches. And I videotaped it, just a little piece of it while driving. It was insurmountable. It seemed out just bigger than I've ever seen anything. My childhood memories were washed away. They're digging out from that now, and they're expecting another hit. There are all of these funds. Analysts say FEMA cannot tap unspent appropriations from long ago crisis, so the money sits frozen as 600 people are reportedly still missing from Hurricane Helene. At least 220 died and entire towns were wiped off the map. Budget experts warn that the new firestorm shows that FEMA has been turned into a slush fund that the agency and the Biden-Harris White House can spend at will. In August 2024, from Homeland Security Inspector General, as of October of 2022, FEMA estimated that 847 disaster declarations with $73 billion unliquidated funds remained open. The report says that $8.3 billion in unliquidated obligations was for disasters declared in 2012 or earlier. The IG report concurs that more than $7 billion in unliquidated funds could potentially be returned to the Disaster Relief Fund. The Inspector General said that extending deadlines by up to 16 years on $7 billion worth of grants, sometimes without explanation. For example, FEMA has $4.5 billion in unused frozen funds from Superstorm Sandy, which happened 12 years ago. FEMA officials have to justify and explain why they're extending deadlines in writing, but it's unclear why they're saying to justify freezing the funds for so long. So all of this political argument right away, let's jump to the defense and let's say, oh, these people are lying, they're just political hacks, they're just out there for politics, why don't we just scratch the surface? And when you scratch the surface, you go back to 2012, there's Republican administrations in there as well. It is not just Democrats. This is part of what I talk about with the inefficiency in federal government. This is the agency to help the American people. There's billions of dollars out there that are available, and they're not sweeping that money. Keep it in mind. Before you start pointing fingers at other people across the political aisle from you for the things they're making up out of whole cloth, they may be onto something.
Thanks for watching the Mike Broomhead Show. Tap to watch the first season of Amazing Arizonans, a KTAR News podcast. You can also click the button in the middle to subscribe.